industrial civilization posts equally numbing figures of self-made self-harm. 1 million, for instance, represents the number of years nature took to create the amount of fossil fuel now consumed in a single year. The ecological crisis is Pandoric, man-made. Technology may be an unreliable ally in regaining control. The mathematician Martin Rees describes a revolution in microelectronics that creates at least the possibility of a robotic world beyond the powers of ordinary human beings then to rule. Rees envisions such exotica as self-replicating micro-robots intended to clean smog that might instead devour the biosphere. A more urgent example is genetic engineering of both crops and animals. Fear of Pandora creates a rational climate of dread, but dread can be itself paralyzing, indeed malign. Technology itself can seem the enemy rather than simply a risk. Pandora's environmental casket was too easily closed, for instance, in a speech given by Arendt's own teacher, Martin Heidegger, near the end of his life, at Bremen in 1949. On this infamous occasion, Heidegger discounted the uniqueness of the Holocaust in terms of the history of man's misdeeds by comparing the manufacture of corpses in the gas chambers and the death camp to mechanized agriculture. In the historian Peter Kempt's words, Heidegger thought that both should be regarded as embodiments of the same technological frenzy, which, if left unchecked, would lead to a worldwide ecological catastrophe. If the comparison is obscene, Heidegger speaks to a desire in many of us, that of returning to a way of life or achieving an imaginary future in which we will dwell more simply in nature. As an old man, Heidegger wrote in a different context that the fundamental character of dwelling is this sparing and preserving against the claims of the modern machine world. A famous image in these writings of his old age invokes a hut in the Black Forest, to which the philosopher withdraws, limiting his place in the world to the satisfaction of simple needs. This is perhaps a desire that could be kindled in anyone facing the big numbers of modern destruction. In the ancient myth, the horrors in Pandora's casket were not humans' fault. The gods were angry. Pandora fear, in a more secular age, is more disorienting. The inventors of atomic weapons coupled curiosity with culpability. The unintended consequences of curiosity are hard to explain. Making the bomb filled Oppenheimer with guilt, as it did I. Rabi, Leo Szilard, and many others who worked at Los Alamos. In his diary, Oppenheimer recalled the Indian god Krishna's words, "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." Experts in fear of their own expertise. What could be done about this terrible paradox? When Oppenheimer gave the Reith Lectures for the BBC, subsequently published as Science and the Common Understanding in 1953, broadcasts intended to explain the place of science in modern society, he argued that treating technology as an enemy will only render humanity more helpless. Yet consumed by worry over the nuclear bomb and its thermonuclear child, in this political forum, he could offer his listeners no practical suggestions about how to cope with it. Though confused, Oppenheimer was a worldly man. He was entrusted at a relatively young age with the bomb project during the Second World War. He combined a first-class brain with the talent to manage a large group of scientists. His skills were both scientific and corporate. But to these insiders, too, he could provide no satisfying picture of how their work should be used. Here are his parting words to them on November 2nd, 1945. "It is good to turn over to mankind at large the greatest possible power to control the world and to deal with it according to its lights and its values. The Creator's works become the public's problem." As David Cassidy, one of Oppenheimer's biographers, has observed, the Reith Lectures thus proved a huge disappointment for both the speaker and his listeners. If the experts cannot make sense of their work, what of the public? Though I suspect Arendt knew little about physics, she took up Oppenheimer's challenge. Let the public indeed deal with it. She had a robust faith that the public